This is Character Crusade number 22.
You're listening to Character Crusade.
Greetings, Crusaders. You're listening to Character Crusade Skyrim Roleplay Workshop. I'm Stu.
And I'm Joe.
And I'm Matt.
And this is episode number 22, the Five Fables Release Party Extravaganza.
It doesn't get any better than three guys in an office with electronics celebrating the launch of what has to be
I could think of one or two better things, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Involve a lake.
And a donkey. Oh, sorry. This office is rather small.
You and I are having very different ideas. That's not what I was thinking at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm not going to be here anymore.
Very different idea of Budapest than I do.
That was very... Yeah. You and I remember Budapest very differently.
Well, for those of you who don't know, this week marked the release of episode 1 of Five Fables. It's officially a story now. It's officially a real project. And there are kind of a lot of little side bits that we just wanted to talk about tonight, some things that are available to you, some interesting information that might be valuable to you if you're interested in watching the story, following the story. And then we are going to round out this podcast with some audio samples from the first episode. So shall we get to it?
That sounds fantastic, Stu.
It does.
Can I tell you how excited I am to look at the number here? You published yesterday.
Tell us, man.
We're recording
It's
today.
like what, about... Well, just over
24 hours, 723 views, which I think is phenomenal for anything. But for us, this is great.
Not advertising.
For not advertising.
Having big, huge marketing budgets.
Now, we do have 5,400 subscribers now, which is really fantastic. And as Joe, you noted yesterday, there were clearly some people who were sitting, waiting at their computers.
Yeah. Tell us that story.
Right. So this is really actually kind of funny. So Stuart texts Matt and I, okay, I'm about to pull the trigger. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go fire up the laptop. I'm gonna go see what this is, how it all came together. Because believe it or not, dear listener, dear viewers, Matt and I don't know what the final product looks like until it comes out. So when it comes out, you know it when we know it. really the only one that knows what it looks like beforehand is Stu, and that's just how production works.
Now, let's be fair.
There's just
After a 19-hour bender, he might not have known what it looked like either.
Well, there's that.
Pretty
There's
sick
that.
of it by then, actually.
I bet. So anyway, he texts us. All right, I'm gonna pull the trigger. I load up the laptop, and it was like less than a minute. I swear. I look up, and there's someone who's already posted. And I'm like, seriously,
You're so slow, man.
Who is that? Hey, Matt, look that up. You've got the
look it
website.
up. I'll
Look
get
up
it.
who. Let's celebrate. At least we'll give props to our first poster.
I believe it was Let's Roleplay, wasn't it?
I think you. Anyway, so I was just kind of stymied. Like, wow. That's just amazing.
It was kind of funny
know,
because
I'm-
Joe calls me up and he's telling me this, and he's like, it's 3 minutes. At this point, it was 3 minutes after I published. And he's talking to me about how quick these folks are on the draw, leaving comments. And I'm refreshing, and it's like 23 views.
Boom. Boom.
34 views.
Well, by the time I
funny.
actually responded, there were 4 other people that replied, I think.
Let's role play one day ago. OMG, it's here.
So well done, let's role play.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
beat the guy who with insider information.
Which I think will always be the case for us.
Yeah, probably.
You know, pretty soon they're going to be commenting before I publish. So,
It's rendering. Start posting now.
yeah. Yeah, it's
awesome though.
interesting.
It's fantastic. And we just I don't know. I think I can kind of speak for everyone.
Damn, you all be quick.
Yeah, that would be me. It's humbling to see so many enthusiastic comments and just reactions. It's really
And some
wonderful.
really funny ones.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's some great ones.
For all of you who say my body is ready,
Well, yeah.
I'm sort of frightened by that, honestly.
Yeah. Actually, he's been saying his body was ready for a while now. I think he put that in the comments of the prologue as well. My body is ready.
Body is ready.
I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds great. Yeah, I mean, really.
So yeah,
Thanks,
what
everybody.
do we have? How many views do we got, Matt?
At the moment, Joe, it's 723.
So
I can imagine there's more going on right now.
723.
Fantastic.
But based on the
Okay.
fact that apparently I didn't have anything sorted correctly,
with
it's likely going to be a much bigger number later.
what 97 thumbs up, no
97
thumbs
thumbs
down. So
Now, a quick reminder that YouTube does a massive slowdown when there is a big, fast uptick, and the count number takes a while to catch up as YouTube
Oh,
goes,
sure. Okay.
is this real?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's super encouraging, and
It really is.
It's wonderful. So glad so many people are into this as much as we are.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why we're having our little launch party for this podcast is there are a number of things that we want to explain about how this thing is going to roll out going forward, and some of the things that we've kind of built into this, what the roadmap looks like. But primarily, it's to say, thank you to all of you warriors and crusaders out there who have been waiting very, very patiently for me to ever do anything again. And, you probably noticed that there was a point in time when I went through the channel and went through all those playlists and just in big capital letters put done, 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 done next to a whole bunch of them. And that was the point at which I had come to the conclusion that a new story is what the channel needed.
Right.
And it's what I needed to focus on. And it would not be possible for me to do that production work if I didn't have the two guys at this table with me picking up the slack on other things. And I am
Polishing
so
his shoes,
appreciative
washing
of
his
that.
car.
I know, doing my laundry, whatever.
I know I've been meaning to ask about that, but
So-
I'll take that off air.
Okay, yeah, you do that. You do that. I got a load of whites for you. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, thank you to all of you who've really come out. The comments were so bananas, just great comments. And it was really funny because, Joe, after I got off the phone with you, my phone rang immediately and it was Jessa. And I couldn't pick up at the time, but she left a really nice voicemail and a nice email, and the support has been really terrific. So let's,
Well, speaking of,
yeah.
I think we can look forward to a little voice work from Jessa coming up.
Absolutely. Yes, that's worth mentioning. You may have noticed in the credits we do give credit for voice work to Jessa, Matt, Joe, and myself. The first episode was really just Matt and I. And if you don't know, or if you couldn't tell, Matt is the voice of Mr. Stacks. So thank you, Matt. Excellent work, I think, for our first time out, and it's only going to get better.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it was super fun, man. We're learning as we go here, and I think it's going to get more efficient as we get more practiced and kind of figure out how all this works.
Well, and figuring out the characters is part of the fun.
Yeah, I think so.
You have to
really
role play
is. It
in a
really
very
is.
different way when you're voicing somebody else's character.
Right.
Right. Well, just like when you're playing your own character, it takes time to really get into the head and understand and really feel the character. It's even that much more when it's a character someone else created.
Part of it is when we're talking about that, we look at how long we spend for our podcasts and the amount of time we spend recording this stuff. Up to now, we've already been recording a couple hours worth of stuff for upcoming episodes of Five Fables, and it takes a tremendous amount of work to do it. And we're talking with each other and independently and being these characters and switch. I mean, we've done like 4 or 5 different character voices tonight a piece. And keeping them straight is hard enough, right?
But it's fun.
Yeah. Now you're old. Now you're young. No.
It's work. There's their effort put into it, but it's fun work. It's been a riot, and I can't wait to keep churning on this because as you said, man, it's only going to get better. And it's going to be fantastic.
I have to agree, and I think it's absolutely priceless to sit in here, with you guys and watch Matt stuff his mouth full of stuff so he can channel an orc's voice better. I mean, he's really
What are you talking about?
he's really committed. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. I think episode 1 was good. It was.
I think
it was the introduction. Right,
a success.
We're
to say the least
setting the stage, but with a kind of establishing a relationship between 2 of our characters, Spurious and Stax. But one of the things that we're also identifying is in their story in particular, in the time in which it takes place, we're identifying a third and very important character, which is the environment itself. I think one of my objectives was to really try to convey in the first episode the strange kind of almost Armageddon feeling state of Skyrim at this time.
Oh, it's very dismal, very bleak, and just really forlorning.
Yeah, you had described it to me on the phone as feeling really oppressive.
Yeah, it really is.
I think it is very much so.
With the constant blizzard-like conditions and that blue palette, monochromatic almost.
Yeah, it's really not until the very end that you even get an opportunity to see a horizon. It's
that's true.
So close.
You're really closed in. For most of that experience.
Right. So it really sets the stage on where Skyrim is right now, and so. I think part of the story is going to be unfolding on how it got there.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, get out on the channel and check it out. Five Fables, Episode 1. It is mysteriously and sometimes confusingly labeled number 2 because the prologue I actually call number 1.
Okay. Yep.
But if you just go to the Five Fables playlist, you can catch it there and kind of get an idea for what we're talking about.
And you can get there from fivefables.com, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Go to fivefables.com or charactercrusade.com. Fivefables.com is actually a subset of pages focused on Five Fables with its own URL. So you can get to the Five Fables content by either going to Character Crusade and navigating to the special projects area, or just going to fivefables.com, and that will take you straight to that collection of resources.
A couple places to get to the same.
You can get there right from the Facebook page, too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Excellent. Yeah, Matt has updated our Facebook page. I think I still owe him some graphics, actually.
Some graphics will be good, but whenever you get a chance, I just about put the entire script in there, that would not have been good.
Yeah, don't do that.
Could have been fun, but
No.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on here. We've had a number of different videos and discussions about Five Fables prior to its launch. There are a few things that I think are kind of changing as we go here that are worth mentioning. One is the advertising.
this is important, so listen up.
Yes, this is really important. I had said in a previous podcast that this was not going to be monetized, and I had stressed that my objective was to keep ads out of the video so that immersion would not be interrupted. Well, I have since discovered that it is basically, as far as I can tell, not possible for me to eliminate ads. Now, the videos are being monetized, but
Not by us.
none of the funds from these videos are coming to Couch Warrior TV, to me, to Character Crusade. All of the money that is generated by the ads that are there are going to the artists who are providing the music that we're using.
And that is, correct me if I'm wrong, because they're being published with music that is
Included in the video, copyrighted by...
copyrighted.
Yep. And honestly, I'm completely fine with that. And I have talked to the folks at Cryo Chamber, and they are fine with that as well. And I have told them to let me know if those funds do not find their way into their pockets. So if you're seeing ads in the videos, there's nothing I can do about it. They're going to be there. Just switch them off, and hopefully it doesn't screw up immersion for you. I have it set to the bare minimum I can set it to at this point. So hopefully what you'll get is one banner at the beginning, and then you won't see any more after that. Again, I am not monetizing these. Any money from those ads is going straight to Cryo Chamber and the artists who are providing us with a fantastic music that we're using here, and I am more than happy to give them that money. I think that's fantastic. So
Agreed.
just letting you know, I had hoped to make it completely ad-free, but it's just not possible right now the way this whole thing is set up.
And if there's some way to change that in the future, we'll work on that. We keep pushing the limits of what YouTube will and won't do.
Yes.
Maybe they'll listen to us once in a while. Not yet. They haven't done that
boy.
yet.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
We get a few 100,000 views, then they start to listen to you.
Maybe they'd pay attention to me if I was PewDiePie, but I'm not that popular. So he's beyond the realm of any other YouTubers out there, and he can actually, I think, sway people. I'm not that.
Well, if PewDiePie wants to watch this and give us a little bit of feedback on our videos, why not?
Right. So
He and his 11
Yeah.
billion subscribers
I know,
might
exactly.
enjoy watching this.
I know. Yeah. He can film himself sneezing and get 7
Is it-
million views
Yeah.
in a day, that kind of thing.
is it sad commentary on my particular self that I have no idea who that is?
No, it does you credit.
Okay.
The fact that you don't know who PewDiePie is, I think, makes you a better person.
I
than
really
I
honestly
am,
don't.
For sure.
Don't alarm yourself. You're not a social outcast for
Well,
not knowing.
and in all fairness, I actually did disable my Facebook account even just for a little while because I needed a break.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
so
I've been there.
I've kind of put myself in a social media vacuum for the time being because I just had to step away from all the noise.
That's understandable.
But there's some good stuff out there too, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to stay away from it personally on a personal venue just because there are good things and there are people
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to stay in touch with, and of course I want to keep up with the Facebook page that you, Matt, are keeping going for the Couch Warrior series. So.
Well, I hope people like the images.
Yeah, or the
Those
Couch
are Character Crusade.
Character Crusade.
The images are coming right from our games. I love the interaction with some of the folks who are out there.
And actually, that brings up a good point because I know you and I, Stuart, have talked a little bit about how we can set up and what we can do to make it possible for our listening and viewing audience to realistically get us your game images.
Yeah.
Because I know we don't really have a way to do that at the moment, not
Yeah.
viably.
Yeah, we're working on that.
And so it's something that we are cognizant of, and we're trying to, because we really want to bring everyone in and
Now, in theory, they
involve
could
everyone.
message those pictures to me over Facebook.
they could.
They
but
could.
I've
The
been
quality
trying to
suffers a bit.
I've been trying to think of a more streamlined way to do this.
Yeah, that's a lot of overhead management.
One thought that
also just
had
throw
come
it
to
in a
mind
box or something.
was the idea of using Instagram and a hashtag. So if you have your own Instagram account and you post things, pictures from your game on your Instagram account, but use the hashtag Character Crusade hashtag, that we would be able to,
See them in there. Yep.
basically search Instagram for anything with that hashtag and start seeing people's images. I thought that would be kind of a cool thing to do. So Character Crusade does have an Instagram account now. It is being fed directly into the Character Crusade website. You can see it on the homepage there. Our Instagram account is Character Crusade, and when I post there, I've only got 3 or 4 images in there, but when I post there, I'm attaching hashtag Character Crusade to everything I put in there.
Okay.
So I got to believe that there's a way that we can make this work more efficiently, but I confess I don't know all the ins and outs of Instagram yet, so I got to kind of have to work that out. For the time being, if you do that, we should be able to, in theory,
absorb it.
kind of create some kind of a feed that includes anything with that hashtag.
That'd be cool.
So mainly what we're interested in is seeing your images. And then I think part of the plan was for Patreon subscribers, we would cherry pick some of those and stick them into the character gallery right on the site. But we need an efficient way to be able to go through them, right?
So, yeah, we haven't come up with all the logistics
Yeah.
on how to do that, but it's
Yeah.
something we've been talking about recently, and
Yeah.
I think it'd be something we really want to do. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're using Instagram, look us up. Let's get connected. And if you're not and want to set up an account, go ahead and do it. Let's get connected. You can follow the Character Crusade account. We'll follow you back, and then we can kind of trade some of those images and look at what people are doing in game. The other thing that's really cool is we had a submission this week of some fan art, which was really awesome. We hadn't had that before. We got a hand-drawn picture of one of the villains who we haven't seen in the story yet.
Yeah, there's
but,
just the one picture of him on the site, the prologue image, I believe it is.
Yep. Yeah, if you're willing to dig, you can find other images from the story out there. This viewer obviously kind of knew what she was looking for, and she kind of drew this really cool image, and so we put it up
nice
on the
line
page
art
too.
drawing, and yeah, it's
So
fun.
yeah, we love that. Send us more of that stuff. That's cool. I love it. Anything like that, cool. Love it. Send it. You can always, I suppose, get it to us through Facebook as well.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we can make that
Which is
happen.
being
so
monitored 24/7.
24/7.
So I guess until until we have a more streamlined method that's a little more automated, that's easy,
Easy is the key.
easier.
Yeah.
We'll figure out some other options. Part of it is
we
that
can
we
always
don't
do it
know
through
how we don't
Facebook.
know how much traffic we're going to get, right?
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I think so. Obviously, we've got Facebook going. We've got Instagram as an option now. Also, I think I am certainly going to be putting more emphasis on Twitter going forward. I found it to be just kind of a really nice outlet for me to post things that are going on in the moment as I'm
Right.
doing
Quick little updates,
production
that kind of
work.
thing.
Right.
Sure.
So over the last couple of weeks, as we've been getting closer to the launch of the story, I actually posted some things on Twitter, and some of those items were kind of interesting. I took some screenshots right out of Adobe Premiere as I was building the video.
Oh, cool.
It included.
Nice.
I took the kind of stylized number 5 that I'm using for the 5 Fables, and I did a Twitter countdown starting from 5 to 1 right before launch.
Yep.
I've used some of the tools I have available to me to make some GIF animations that I've put in there that are scenes pulled right out of the episode, which have been sort of fun.
Nice.
So I think hooking up on Twitter is a good thing too if you're interested in those kinds of updates. And I've been also responding to some followers there who've had questions or comments or things like that. So
Cool.
if you go to Twitter and you can find us at Character Wonk. At Character Wonk.
It's also at the bottom of the Character Crusade site. All of our social media links are down at the bottom.
Yep, you can find them all there.
Stu, can you tell us a little bit about the Five Fables graphic, please?
Yeah, sure. created that in Photoshop, and this is probably, I don't know, God, it feels like the 20th revision, right? When the concept first came to me, I released a version of this that was kind of the white on black, where we had an icon that represented each of the 5 fables. I have not abandoned the icon idea, but the icon is going to play a slightly different role in the way that stories are labeled than what I was originally intending. So I pulled that out and then just worked on many, many different revisions. And I think for me, the real clincher was trying to come up with something that looked good in Photoshop, but also looked really good in the video. And I experimented quite a bit with just trying to do something straight, kind of two-dimensional with different effects on it, and it just wasn't grabbing me. It didn't have enough punch. It didn't feel the way I needed it to feel. And once I started making the video, I did 5 different versions of it, and finally arrived at the version we see now, which it's kind of the chiseled in stone.
Yeah, kind of a stone granite.
Yeah, it looks like it's chiseled in stone. And the thing I liked about it was the style of it is very reminiscent of what to me feels like Skyrim. Heavy granite and stone, and this thing is somehow chipped right from it.
It's like the word walls.
Yeah, exactly. And then the font that I'm using looks a lot like kind of runes.
Yeah,
it's different.
That feel to it. Yep.
Yeah, and I felt like it meshed really well with the stone styling. So yeah, that was created in Photoshop primarily, and I've created it at a very high resolution for use on all kinds of things. So you're not only going to see that in the video, but you'll see it popping up, in the YouTube banners and all over the place.
So speaking of fonts, you've always had a lot of interesting fonts. I mean, do you just kind of grab them from everywhere, or do you got certain places that you like to go and look for different font styles?
Yeah, my go-to place for interesting fonts, themed fonts, is Blambot.
Okay.
Blambot.com. I love it.
For years.
Yes. Matt's been hearing me talk about Blambot forever. What I like about Blambot is that the guy who runs it is a guy who letters comics for a living.
Oh, perfect.
And he basically makes fonts for a living.
That's his job.
And if you go to his site, all of his fonts are labeled with sort of comic book related names and so forth like that.
And they're fantastic.
Yes.
They're so great.
Yes. So the font that I'm using for the Five Fables logo is from Blambot, and it's called Mark of the Beast. And then you'll notice in the credits and in some of the thumbnails on YouTube, I'm using a different font, slightly different font that I have paired up with that, called Straight to Hell. I just love it. So Mark of the Beast and Straight to Hell, if that says anything. I don't know. So Blambot's the go-to place. I've been going there for years for fonts. In fact, a couple of Christmases ago, I got a Blambot t-shirt.
Oh, nice.
Actually, I have 2 Blambot t-shirts now. Yeah. He got one called Robot Head, which I don't know if he offers anymore, and then the Blambot t-shirt. So
cool.
In fact, this t-shirt is Blambot right here.
Oh, all right.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Yes. This one's called Bloody Murder.
Still nice, not as good as the ogre shirt.
Yeah, the ogre shirt was fun. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we're getting out there in social media. Let's talk a little bit about Patreon. So because we're not monetizing this, because we're not getting any money by monetizing this, we're going to be looking for viewer support to keep the story going. And by keep the story going, I mean helping to keep the lights on, helping to keep production tools available, helping to kind of take care of some of the expenses related to hosting and related to some of the things that we would like to offer viewers going forward, namely things like gear and print published items, stuff like that. There's a lot that we would like to do here for people who are enthusiastic about this. So we have a Patreon campaign established for Five Fables. There is also a separate Patreon campaign for this podcast. you can contribute to either one or the other. You don't need to contribute to both unless you want to. But we felt like the podcast is something we love and it's something we're passionate about, but not everybody who is subscribed to Couch Warrior is. And that's evidenced by the numbers. It is sometimes a very different demographic, very different interest. People are listening to podcasts for different reasons and on different devices than they might listen to something on YouTube or view something on YouTube.
Right.
And we've seen that before and repeatedly in such insightful comments as, "This is shit," for example. So, loud and clear, right?
Okay.
A podcast on YouTube is not for everyone.
Trying to meet you where you're at, but that's okay. Kiss in the teeth.
Yes. So the objective was never to create a podcast for YouTube, numbnuts. The objective was to create a podcast and
Make it
available on YouTube for those people who cared to watch it. So if you're not into it, don't watch it.
The great thing is that if you've watched somebody watch the podcast on YouTube, it's great because every second they're waiting for that screeching woman to and you wait for like 40 minutes and then it still doesn't happen.
Oh, really? They're doing that? Oh, man.
I hope not.
It's great. I actually really like it. Totally, for me, I like it because I've got YouTube up practically all the time when I'm at home. And it's nice to just have it playing in the background.
And we get it. YouTube, video. We get it.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of fun to watch a
To
single
listen to
picture.
something. Yep.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
go to there's a lot of music out on YouTube that just have the album cover.
Yep.
Yes.
And personally, when I go there, it's because I want to hear the song,
Yep.
Yeah.
not because I really
Not yet.
want to watch this
Not
awesome
yet
video.
have we pulled a Tyler Durden, no. For those who are looking, we haven't
But-
done that yet.
Yeah, we do understand. The podcast was created for the podcast and made available for YouTube. And if it's not what you expected when you go to the YouTube channel, sorry.
Go
I
listen
guess
to the
I don't know what
podcast,
else to say.
Yeah. Well, there is nothing else
Listening to the
say. It's just
podcast on
what
the
it
go,
is.
whatever your favorite podcast app is, just hook it up,
Yeah.
pull down the content. That's fine.
Pretty much.
And for the
Right.
folks who do listen to it via YouTube, there's all the other available content from the previous series, from Aranus Arcana, stuff coming up from Five Fables.
Yeah, it's
the entire history of what you
Right.
may want to jump into.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping you from watching everything else out there.
And as much as we'd like to create and make a visual presentation, we just can't.
No.
We just can't do it.
We
We
can't.
would like to. We would enjoy it, but we just
Yeah.
can't.
Let's be honest. I mean, Nim, sorry, Nim, we loved you, but I feel like unless a miracle happens, Five Fables is the priority, and it's more important than making sure that we have video of Nim traipsing around the countryside
Right.
for the podcasts. So you'll pardon us if we move away from any sort of intense video content for the podcast in exchange for what I think is going to be a much better and much more interesting and fun experience for everybody in a story
Well,
like Five Fables.
And really, that
you
kind
know,
of gets to a point that I was hoping to be able to make at some point here, is that Five Fables is really embracing the idea that we're trying to get across and that we're embracing on the podcast, and that's story and character.
Yep.
Yeah.
So really, my challenge to all of the people, all of you, is to watch these videos and see what can you pull out that we've talked about. How are the things that are being built into the Five Fables relate directly to a lot of what we talk about on the podcast?
Exactly.
Because there's a lot there.
Yeah.
So look at it,
You're right.
enjoy it, watch it for what it is, as a great story, but then go back to it. Even go back to Aranus or some of the other Couch Warrior videos and look at them, watch them with a more critical eye, watch them from a different angle. Take some of the podcast character building type of information and dialogue that we've had and watch those videos with that critical eye, and not just as a video, but where are the different story points being applied and how's this character being advanced?
And all of these characters have practically all of them have their own backstory. They all have their reason
Yeah,
for being
you know,
in Five Fables.
Why,
This is like so far the ultimate Project Epicosity piece.
Oh, for sure.
Across a whole bunch of characters, and that's what makes the weaving of it even more complex, but
so
more fun.
yeah, I think
I
replacing the NIM footage, which was fun, but it was a concept, and we never promised this thing was going to take off running. It was a concept.
We never know.
But then
NIM
Five
is
Fables
in
came
suspension
along,
for now.
and
Yeah.
it really gelled and brought together all of what we're trying to get
Yeah.
across on the podcast.
Yeah.
and it lit a fire in all of us. Honestly, NIM was
Yeah.
a really good background for folks who wanted to see something.
Yeah.
But we're also getting a what's going on? How is this tied to what you're talking about in the podcast? And
Yeah.
keeping track of a
Right.
couple things.
Exactly.
So with Five Fables, you're
Five
living
Fables
in the story.
is in my opinion far above what we were trying to do with NIM.
And I think
Yeah.
it's important because we've shifted our time investment really massively into Five Fables for that reason. And the podcast here still goes along with the storytelling and character building in our everyday play. But all that time that's parsed for Five Fables now really takes all of it to heart. And I agree with you, Joe. There's so much to learn from watching what's coming in Five Fables because I'm going to take 20 episodes of podcasts and mash it into, an hour-long episode. Check it out.
Yeah, I know. And what was it, episode 4 that we first started talking about epicosity? It was
pretty early on.
Epicosity number 1, I think, was episode 3 or 4.
Where that concept came out.
That was the genesis of the idea, which has
Right.
become Five Fables.
Right.
And I think it's taken this long to kind of figure out how all this stuff would gel together in terms of how does the story come together, what kind of setup is required in order to make something like this a reality,
Right.
and do it in such a way that you're not crashing your game and having all kinds of problems.
Right.
Remember, I've done this before, and there are a lot of problems that I ran into in Airness Arcana
Right.
that I have structured this entire story around avoiding.
Right.
So I think, we can safely say that since episode 3, when Epicosity first came up, that this story experience that we're going to see in the Five Fables playlist is a culmination of all of these things. We're using the circles of character conflict. We're using the epicosity concepts. We're doing all this. We're using the aspects of vulnerability that we talked about with Alistair. All of these things are going to kind of be inserted into this. And honestly, we're going to be learning a lot of new things as we go here as well. And,
for sure.
That's all going to be fun stuff that we're going to share with listeners in future episodes. So more than ever, I feel now like the podcast has a really clear purpose. And I feel like the podcast and the story go hand in hand, because on the one hand, it's our opportunity to talk shop.
Right.
And on the other, it's our opportunity to kind of put those things on display and practice them in creation
Show
of
it
story.
off in the creativity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for the people who like it in either way, continue to support us in Patreon in either or both. It's up to you. And then just to get back to where you were a few minutes ago, you don't have to like both. Again, we're providing it for sort of both sides of your brain.
They
perhaps
feel like they're coming together.
Yeah.
But they're still individual parts. So you can still enjoy one without the other, I think.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's kind of the beauty of how it's starting to really come together.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like we're gelling a little bit now.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, just because you enjoy one or the other doesn't mean that you have to enjoy both. You don't have to support both. We're not going to say no, but
But also rest assured, if you do support the podcast on Patreon, we're going to give you credit in the credits for the video. The video is our opportunity to give credit to anybody who contributes to Couch Warrior Network on Patreon, and you have 2 opportunities to do that. Think of it as, one or the other as your way of kind of voicing your preference, right? I love what you guys are doing. The podcast is my favorite. I love what you guys are doing. The story is my favorite, or both.
Right.
So we appreciate anything that you're willing to do to help us out. So that's kind of the reason for that. We're very appreciative, and we have slightly different goals, that we've posted on each of the Patreon campaigns because they are sort of, different vehicles for us to communicate with you all in this weird media that is the interwebs. So it's dealer's choice, right?
There you go.
Right?
Perfect.
So what else we got to talk about Five Fables here quick? I think, I think it's worth mentioning, as Matt said before, we spent a significant amount of time tonight talking in the voices of these characters, and I think
starting to ramp up for episode 2 and beyond. 5
or 6 new characters were voiced tonight, and if you liked the first episode, I think the second will be kind of a feast when it comes to just characterization and lots of new stuff. The first episode was really a feeling of isolation, and where we get a sense for who this third character is in Skyrim in the year 246. Right. So now with episode 2, we get to move into the next phase, and I think things are just going to keep getting more interesting. The one thing, too, I would say, and I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast, is that initially the story spends a lot of time setting up. We kind of need to establish where we're at in the world space, and we'll see an evolution over time where we'll start to see more episodes sprinkled in that are heavier on the gameplay and lighter on the storytelling or machinima aspects and vice versa. And it's going to vacillate back and forth constantly depending on what the story requires.
Right.
Those instances where we have episodes that are heavier in gameplay, honestly, those are a bit easier to produce. There's a lot less video editing required to produce a longer video. So the production schedule is going to vacillate depending on the episode and what the requirements of the episode are. So as we've said before, there is no release schedule. The videos are released when they're finished. And it's important to know that, because that is the flexibility that is going to allow us to continue the story. If we tried to stick to a production schedule, we'd all be burned out in a month, and then this would be over.
Yeah.
So,
or things would suffer so badly that something would start to tank.
Exactly.
Along with us.
Yeah. What we're interested in is some long-term storytelling.
Yeah, there's great opportunity here to make a really, multi-season.
Right.
And I think it says it right there. I mean, season 1, episode 1. Well, that implies more than one season. And I think this story has the legs to do that.
Yes.
So if we can take the time we need to put those out when we can maintain that.
Yes. And we would like very much to be able to take so many of the assets we're creating as we do this and make them available as well.
Yeah, I can see that in the future.
But whether we can do that and how we do that will just depend on how demanding the story itself becomes. So
It'll
plan...
be in the collector's set.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've got so many fantastic and sort of interesting little things from, outtakes from voice sessions, from mods that have been created for this whole thing.
There's a whole block of them you created just for this story itself that would be great at some point to make available, at least some of them.
Yes. The problem is there's only 3 of us, and there's just so much to do. So we are going to release things as we can. And some of this stuff, of course, is going to be released for Patreon supporters, for sure. The plan there is that we're going to be releasing some perks that will include written scripts that you can download and read at your leisure, and also outtakes from voiceover sessions, maybe unreleased footage or small clips for things that just didn't get into the
director's cut.
The final video. Yeah, the director's cut. Oh, man. You
ready for that? This one was an hour. The director's cut was 3.
Yeah, I know. That's literally...
Oh, good. Yeah. There's so many things we'd love to be able to do.
And then the mods.
Eventually.
My God.
Yeah.
I would love to release the mods, but, releasing mods on Nexus is like drudgery, man.
Never say never. And may just be a long time down the road. Let's get through more of the story before we start giving away parts of the set.
I guess the point here is that we've got a lot of things that we'd like to do.
Yes.
And we're going to try to do as many of them as we can.
Exactly.
In a manner that will allow us to continue.
Measured.
Yes,
Measured is a good word.
Measured and well considered.
Because burned out and dead doesn't do us very good.
God, no,
Or
it's
you.
the worst.
Anyone.
Yes.
Or anyone for that matter. Yep.
That's all I got, fellas. Anything else you can think of?
Nothing comes to my mind. which
Season
is
1,
all too
episode
often.
2 is already in production, folks. Like I said, we did a nice voiceover session tonight. It's going to be really great. We're going to see lots of variety and some interesting stuff. So.
Any teasers on episode 2 to offer, or stay tuned?
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. Spurious will be in it.
Okay.
Stax will be in it. There'll be some music in it. And it'll have an intro very similar to the last one.
Very quickly.
Yeah. The
Cool.
the other thing that I guess I could provide as a teaser is that the credits will include a significant additional number of supporters.
Awesome.
Nice. Yes, it will.
Ooh, fingers crossed.
So.
Anyway, so thank you all, everyone, for listening to us babble about Five Fables. We're super excited about this project, and we're very happy to bring this kind of entertainment to you. And we appreciate your support so very much, whether you're contributing or just listening and watching and having fun. It's about immersion and storytelling. So just freaking enjoy yourself and leave us comments. We love that. As always, feedback on the website. You can leave us messages there. We are always looking over the mail, and we've got, I think, some good mail from Crusaders in the hopper for our next few episodes. Some cool things that we're going to discuss.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we are going to leave you with that. We will leave you with some, some interesting audio from episode 1 of Five Fables, The Untold.
A wise man would have asked, why me? What makes Spurious Teufel, third son of a fisherman with only a bland book on governmental procedure, qualified to record perhaps the 2 most important and mysterious years in our collective history? But in the pride and self-delusion of my youth, these were questions not to be voiced aloud, lest I acknowledge my fallibility. At times, I long to be that young man once again, so confident, so very singular of purpose. Perhaps it is the mortal condition to recall with longing the days of our youth, when faced with the truth of our own mortality. Perhaps, for most, this is the common refrain, but I lament the loss of my ignorance. Before I understood the truth, before its burden became mine alone to bear. And so, in lusting after ignorance, I commit the greatest sin of the scholar, to wish for blindness, to crave the lie in my weakest moments. This is my accounting, my final treatise to the world, a recorded account of the events and people of another time, laying bare the truth of those days and of my own self-aggrandizement. I have observed genuine horror, true suffering, and authentic heroism, and even now, as I write these pages, I commit my final act of cowardice. With these words, I inflict myself upon the world as a ravaging disease that corrupts the bliss of ignorance. Mr. Stacks presented me with a horse. We set off with no preamble. Both mounts were loaded with what looked like light provisions and equipment, but most of the gear he seemed to be carrying on a gigantic pack on his back. I'd hoped to visit the capital, but that doesn't appear to be on his agenda. The mare that he provided me is well-bred but stocky breed. They seem ideally suited to the weather conditions here in Skyrim. Mr. Stacks seems to find it amusing that she nearly bit my fingers off as I endeavored to stroke her nose. Perhaps I will leave care of these animals to him. This barrow is quite amazing.
Yar.
These stones must weigh hundreds of pounds. I wonder how many barrows like this are hidden across the landscape.
Yar.
So, what do you do for Rolbard?
Are you his friend?
I'm sorry, whose friend?
Master Graves.
Oh no, I don't even know the man, but...
Then he is Master Graves to you.
Ah, I'm sorry, of course. Are you not a friend of Master Graves?
Employee and loyal servant.
Really? How long have you worked in the employ of Master Graves?
47 years, 3 months, and 15 days.
Ah, that's very accurate. What exactly do you do for Master Graves?
Swing axes and do the count.
The Count?
Yar. 45.
Excuse me?
45 known barrows in Skyrim.
I see. Is that what you mean by count? You count barrows?
No, that would be idiotic. I count everything.
You mean like a clerk? You count money?
Everything. Money, product, efficiency, output, assets, allies, supplies, foodstuffs, employees, partners, rivals, their products, output, alliances, trade agreements.
Ah, yes, I see. You handle the books. Now, books I can understand.
No books.
Oh, sorry. I mean ledgers.
No ledgers.
You mean to tell me that you have all of Master Graves' business affairs stored in your head?
You do not listen. How do you interview if you do not listen? Master Graves' business affairs and the business affairs of his enemies.
All in your head.
Yar.
How is it possible for you...
Go to sleep now.
You, Mr. Stacks, must have a great respect for Master Graves, given your extensive tenure as an employee.
Yar.
What of his health? I was made to understand that he was having some difficulties.
Master Graves has been afflicted for years.
For years? What sort of affliction?
Nervous attacks. Nervous attacks. He shakes and becomes mad with anger and sadness.
Madness? What does he say in his fits of madness?
It is not for us to discuss the personal struggles of Master Graves. You may ask him yourself if you must know.
I understand. I understand completely. So, how did you come to be employed by Master Graves?
It was Stack's good fortune that brought Master Graves to him.
Oh, interesting. I think I better go to bed.
Not here. Go over there.
I'm just gonna go lay down. I'll see you in the morning. Maybe. So, Joe, you and I will need to decide who's going to be Bandit 1 or Bandit 2. And the distinction between them is that Bandit 1 is a little bit, I would say, smarter, level-headed, and Bandit 2 is the one that ends up inadvertently provoking Stax. Well, no, very intentionally provokes Stax. He just doesn't, he's not smart enough to realize how much danger he's in.
It would seem I would probably naturally fit Bandit too.
Okay. Are we ready? Let's do it.
One more time. Now you're ready.